Displays of affection through biting? Yeah, as a cat owner, this isn't always the best feel in the world, but some cats, similar to a play session, will bite just a bit as a sign to show they love you. And when it comes to these nibbles, your primary objective is to understand what's exactly going on and to make sure that those love bites don't turn into bites of frustration and anger. So, has your cat bitten you today as a way to show they care? Interesting topic, and I've got you covered. Stay tuned. With so many topics here at Senior Cat Wellness, I am well aware that I'm preaching to the choir likely more times than not, covering topics that are quite relatable and very much understood, perhaps even topics that you don't need me to tell you about, as your personal lived experiences quite possibly would qualify you as being the expert. However, when it comes to your cat biting you as a means to show affection, this could be a bit of a rare one, let's say, as I'm sure some of you, it's likely fair to assume, have never quite come across something quite like this. Why? Well, unlike dogs, who love to nibble when they play and to show affection, cats don't always use the teeth as an act of play or affection. Many times, if a cat bites, regardless of the pressure applied, they're either downright mad and filled with aggression or simply highly annoyed. Perhaps a bout of the zoomies have kicked in, and the next thing you know, your hand is prey. Your cat has those paws wrapped around your wrist and is biting your knuckles while kicking your forearm. Yeah, none of that seems too pleasant at all, and certainly not in the same ballpark in terms of love and affection. When it comes to understanding those love bites and why a cat would even do it, well, just think of it as an extension of a few behaviors and actions that are quite common, things that you've certainly seen before. Headbutting, rubbing against your arms and legs, purring, perhaps kneading on you, and following you around, being your shadow around the house. All of those, they're signs of affection, love bites, and love nibbles. Think of it as an extension of, say, headbutting or rubbing against your arms and legs. Cats, we know they love to use the face to rub. Teeth exposed many times. This is typically used as a means to scent mark, to mark territory. But regardless of the reason, cats are never shy about putting their face on display and almost using it at times like a battering ram. For this reason, it's certainly not a stretch that a cat would nibble or could nibble, at least at times as a way to play and show affection. As a quick story, and yes, it's Burl time once again. He passed away all the way back in 2019, but I feel as though I talk more about my senior cat Burl now than I ever did when he was alive. Senior Cat Wellness has certainly given me the chance to give him that spotlight and tell many stories. And when it comes to the topic of nibbling as a means to show affection, Burl had quite the thing about it. It was odd, yet quite funny. If you were to put your fingers in front of him, he would sniff each finger, one by one, yet when he got to your thumb, he would bite it. Little quick nibbles. And yes, for those of you who have dogs, you likely know what those nibbles, those little play bites feel like. In the case of Burl, it was exactly the same. He would nibble for about 4 or 5 seconds and then use his face to rub against your thumb. And when I say this never failed, it never failed. Smell each finger, bite the thumb. Left hand, right hand, it did not matter. As for why some cats nibble and some cats don't, there's really no concrete answer. I'm personally of the opinion that it likely all begins with kittenhood and certain types of toys. If a cat learns and loves to nibble on toys, a little stuffed toy mouse, for example, then it could be easy for that same cat to make the transition to the tips of your fingers, your wrist, just something similar in size and in some ways similar in feel. It could also be said that placing your hand and fingers in front of a cat's face from the time they're very young can potentially cause the cat to associate your hand and fingers with innocent play. Instead of an actual toy, your cat views that part of your body as the toy. It just seems highly unlikely that love bites would simply start at random, especially during adulthood. Bites as a means to show affection because it's not all that common. Some level of learned or associated behavior from kittenhood would likely be where the connection is made. As I noted earlier, most people who sustain bites from a feline, it often comes on the heels of a play session gone sour. You were Likely waving your hands around, your cat started pawing, and then the next thing you knew, your cat had your hand and was biting and kicking. Your pet perhaps looking a little wild-eyed while doing so. Many times, if you've got some bite marks and some minor scrapes and scratches, it's not because a fun time was had. I think most cat owners can nod in agreement on that one. Another factor to consider here, and that's overall personality. Some cats tend to check more of those feline stereotype boxes than others. Does your pet act more like a puppy? Has your cat adopted a bit of your personality where some lines can become blurred when it comes to how a cat should act during certain situations? Cats acting like people, cats acting like dogs. Well, that's been my case for years. Every cat thing I've seen a lot. Well, I've also seen my share of things that didn't quite make sense, at least when it comes to what is often expected of a feline. If your cat loves to nibble out of affection, it could be your cat's dog-like personality coming to the forefront. This is especially true if you have a dog, and your cat just perhaps has been doing a bit of watching and note-taking. Your cat could have learned a thing or two from the dog, in the same way that young cats will often adopt certain behaviors from older felines. Cats can also take cues from other animals. It's not out of the question to think that your nibble-happy cat stole some notes from your wonderful dog. So, to the audience of Senior Cat Wellness, does your cat love to bite you as a sign of affection? Is there a bit of a lead-up involved here? Does it all begin as a cuddle session? Is your cat like Burl? Does he sniff and then bite? Does your cat lick your hand and fingers? I know some cats, quite a few actually, that just love to lick. It's all a mixed bag, and I'd like for you to share your stories. The grand tales of affection biting. Is your cat good with it? Do they know to keep that bite pressure to a minimum? I can tell from owning both dogs and cats over the years, there seems to be an art to the love bites, because it doesn't take much for things to go from affection to a vampire in training. Your thoughts on this topic? That comment section, as always, it's all yours. And if you enjoyed this content, please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. I'd certainly love to have you as a member of the Senior Cat Wellness family. And until next time, thank you so very much for watching, and I will talk to you later.